Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I'm Bella Payne, a music teacher with over 20 years of teaching experience and over 30 years of performance experience, practicing, studying, just committing a whole life to music and never looking back. Thank you for stopping and listening to this video. Today I'm giving another performance tip. It's recital week here in my world, and so I have recital tips on the mind. And today I want to talk about something that sounds a little funny when I say it out loud or when I write the words down on a page and I see them in front of me. Sounds a bit contradictory, but this is an important tip that I think might be the ultimate secret to getting over any kind of stage fright. And that is this: the performance is not really about you. Even though you might be the only person on the stage and all the attention is on you, it's really not about you. It's about the audience and the audience having an experience. And I think the difference between a seasoned musician and someone who's just starting out is that this knowledge is pretty obvious to the seasoned musician. You have to show up for your audience and you have to read the room. It helps to be a sensitive person because you can tell what's working and what's not working. And at the end of the day, you are showing up to do a service for the audience. And every audience is different. This can be a piano recital, it can be a school talent show, it could be a club, it could be a big theater performance, a big concert hall, you could be in an ensemble. Every situation is different. The reason why I was thinking about this is because I was reflecting on, I was asking myself, when did I first realize that it wasn't actually about me? And I was kind of shocked by my answer. I realized it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I really got it. Because up until that point, I was really just focused on me. How can I be a better singer? How can I look better? How can I give better expression? You know, I was just so focused on myself and my craft, if you will, just to put a positive spin on it. But the truth is, I was just kind of focused on myself and trying to feel the best I could after a performance. And I equated that with meaning, if I give a good performance, I will feel my best. And then I started working for a music therapy organization where I was going into hospitals and I was also going into assisted living centers. And I was doing this 3 times a week at least. For a year I did this. And I enjoyed the experience a lot. It was very different, obviously, from performing in a coffee shop or a bar. And I loved it. And that was when I really understood music is for everybody. The performer or the musician gets into it, in my opinion, to get closer to the music. The music lover, the audience member, is there to have an experience with the music. You, the musician, you are the facilitator of that experience. And when I started working at the hospitals and the assisted living centers, I started thinking like that. And there was one situation I will tell you about that led me to really understand this. I used to perform weekly at this assisted living center that was made up of mostly patients with Alzheimer's and dementia. So a lot of them were just kind of out of it and couldn't communicate. And some people could communicate a little bit, but everyone was pretty much out of it. And there's this one woman who I was told later normally doesn't communicate. She seemed like, I was going to say normal, sorry, but you know what I mean. She seemed like in the earlier stages when I was watching her from my perspective, but I later found out that she's usually not very communicative. And so I was surprised when I found that out because during my set, I had played an Irish lullaby, which I used to do primarily folk music at these events. And I loved Irish folk music. And so this one Irish lullaby that I played, all of a sudden she started singing every single word with me. And this would happen over and over again, by the way. At these assisted living centers, people with dementia could just all of a sudden, if I played something they knew all the words and they would sing along. And then after the song was over, most of the time they'd go back to just being their normal kind of, in their normal state, which is not really, they don't seem to be present. So it would be very interesting to see them go from this animated singer to back to their kind of Alzheimer's state. This woman was a little more able to communicate with me, though, because right after I finished the song, she said to me, my mother used to sing that to me and I just loved it so much. And she got a little emotional. And when she got emotional and she was telling me this story, I felt it from her. And I realized, while it did feel good for me to perform and to feel the appreciation, and so I got a reward from it, I realized there is a much bigger service at play here. Being able to give this woman an experience where she could feel something and she could remember something, because, with Alzheimer's, what part of the problem, the big part of the problem is that they lose their memory. They lose their memory so badly that they don't recognize their own family anymore, up to a certain point. And so that was the moment I realized, okay, I'm never going to be the same way again. I have to look at music performance as a service to people. And that's the thing I try to tell my students, that whenever we're getting ready for a recital, they get very nervous. They want to do a good job. They're focused on themselves too. They're focused on their craft. They want to do a good job. I totally get it. But if you can keep in mind that while yes, you want to hit the right notes, of course, you want to have good timing, you want to have good tone and good expression, you want to work on all of that. If you can add to that layer of awareness the fact that you're going and playing a piece of music for a listening audience is a gift, and it means something to them. So if you could try to remember that, I think it makes it harder to get nervous, because think about how it feels whenever you give somebody a present. It makes them happy. And I know some people might say, yeah, well, I don't think I'm very good, so I might be, maybe I'm hurting their ears. Audiences are pretty obvious. Like, most audiences are not, they're made up of a variety of people. So you're going to know if you're not doing a stellar performance, you're going to know, and you'll go back and you'll work on those things. But if you're generally prepared and you know what you're doing, but you still have this stage fright, just try to remember that this is a service that you are doing. You are doing something, you are giving a part of yourself to these people who have politely showed up to listen to you. So they're listening to you, they're paying attention to you. Attention is a hot commodity. That's why we say we pay attention, because it's like paying for something. So they're paying attention to you, and in return, you pay attention to them. You consider the fact that they are human beings who have had a vast array of emotional experiences. Music does something for them. Music makes them feel something. So think about that. Make them feel something. That is the whole point of being a musician and being a performer, is to help people feel things. So I hope this gave you something to think about. If you're a seasoned performer and you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that the performance is not about you, but it's about the audience, please chime in the comments. That helps the algorithm, which I'm trying to play around with since I've been on a hiatus for many years, and my presence in the algorithm has dropped significantly. So if you like this, please like it and subscribe, share it with others, and of course, reach out to me at my website if you're interested in anything related to music education, sound healing, anything.